So now they're putting out proof that the feeding frenzy has begun. The DLT frenzy, deals and partnerships being made all over the place. And it's been such a short time. This shows how much capital is going to be coming into DLT technology, blockchain, hash graph. It shows that there is a huge desire because there's so many partnerships being made. But this article is titled, there's been an $8.2 billion wave of crypto deals in this short time. Can you imagine what it's going to be like in 6 months, a year, 2 years? This is what it says. Okay, let's read this little tidbit here. It says altogether, crypto companies have reached 88 deals. 88. That's just the ones they've announced in the public. There's ones they're working on, right? How many more are they working on? 88 deals worth a total of $8.2 billion. Since the start of 2025, the report added, citing data from the advisory firm Architect Partners. So that's where it's coming from. Architect Partners. All right. If you want to look it up for yourself, now you have a name. That is almost triple the transaction value from 188 deals in the crypto sector in the entirety of 2024. Look at that. There's something happening here special. If you didn't believe before, and you don't have to believe, but I don't know how this evidence doesn't tell you that everything's going to another level. And maybe it's not reflected in the price as of yet. Not financial advice, but as of yet, but it will be. This is something that you're watching build over time. It's real. You can see it with your eyes. You can research it. Once again, so they've already, in this short, tiny little period of time, have already accomplished 88 deals. The entirety of 2024, they only had 188 deals. That's huge. That's major. And that's not taking into account all of the news we've been hearing about the crypto companies wanting to become banks. That's something else. Because if they do that, then that opens up more opportunity. Right? It's also not taking into account the alleged countless banks that some of these companies are already working with that they haven't announced. So it can't be tabulated in this type of data. It can't be. They haven't been released to the public yet, but they exist. So in actuality, that 88 deals that number should probably be a little bit higher, right? Which means that what is occurring now is actually much bigger than what is being stated here. We're on the right track. We're doing a good job here. We're on the right track. There's something bubbling huge. We've been watching it for years. Now it's happening. Let's continue on. There's more. Quote, there's optimism that finally things changed, unquote, said Eric Risley, founder of Architect Partners. Here's the thing about that. In my humble opinion, I believe they always wanted it this way. That's why now they're so easily pulling back all of these barriers for crypto. 1, 2, that's why all the companies are openly coming out declaring that they need this technology. Well, 2 things. 1, they're putting down the legacy system, clearly, because that existed and they haven't adopted those technologies. So 1, they're putting that down while saying that they desire or need a new technology to keep up, which clearly the new technology that's going to be unleashed that's being unleashed is DLT. That's 2 things simultaneously there. That's massive. So I think they always wanted it to be this way. So it's not just that it finally changed. I think their plan is just progressing. That makes sense, right? It continues, quote, the traditional crypto players that are large and at scale are now back in a growth-minded mode. And one of the tools that they have for growth is acquisitions, unquote. Yes, that's true. Yes, I expect them to do many more of those. But at the same time, what hasn't occurred is a deployment of all of those different offerings that they have. That hasn't even taken place yet. Payroll, right? They have offerings for payroll, the whole cross-border payment thing, that's retail, the B2B, interbank payments, all of these different tokenization of all of these different things. Chains like Algorand should be well in advance as far as being in an advantageous position, because they are some of the earliest to dabble, to have like Propi, et cetera, to dabble in tokenization, which is going to be huge. We haven't even seen all of that really take off. So that means there's much more to come. Much, much, much more, right? Let's continue on. It says, as WSJ noted, let me scroll down. As WSJ noted, crypto deal making has slumped in recent years following, and then they go into all that negative stuff that happened. We know about that. Let's skip that little part. I want to keep the energy good. That's important to me. Innovation has been stifled for the last several years due to market and regulatory uncertainty. All right, but that has changed now. So now, okay, let's go here. We have more information that we have to cover. And a lot of you may take interest in this. So now this article here is titled Futures-Based XRP ETF Could Launch Next Week. All right. And it begins here. A futures-based XRP ETF offered by ProShares could launch as early as next week. We're seeing a lot of progress. ProShares futures-based XRP ETF that offers 2x leverage could go live in the US as soon as next week. A lot of these top cryptos will have ETFs. XRP, Solana, I think Chainlink will have one. Most of the top legit ones will have ETFs. It says, as in my humble opinion, as reported by U.Today, ProShares revealed that it had picked up April 30th as its target date for launch of the product earlier this month. Oh, wait, my apologies. I'm trying to scroll, but sometimes you ever have that where the trackpad, it like sticks a little bit. So it doesn't, you're trying to scroll, but it doesn't. The firm has likely received the green light to proceed with the launch of on the aforementioned date, given that there was no formal objection from the SEC during the review period. So that's good news. Okay. On top of that, ProShares will go live with short and ultra short leverage XRP ETFs. So the doorways also not just from people being able to access these things, but it shows the doorway to the golden age is opening a little bit more each day, a little bit more. So now it continues. It is important to note that such ETFs don't get the same stamp of approval from the SEC as spot products do. They only go into effect if the agency doesn't object within a certain time period after the filing. The filing shows that no immediate effectiveness upon filing was selected, with April 30th, 2025 chosen for the effective date. All right, so there you go, everybody. The trust principal executive offices are located in Bethesda, Maryland, with ProShare Advisors LLC serving as the investment advisor. All right, so I think we pretty much got the gist of all the important things there that they had to share. So that's a good move forward as well. Then they have a tweet cropped here, and it says it's from Uphold, and it says Uphold XRP ETF approved. All right, so Uphold is also excited. Uphold is excited about it. All right. Oh, but then there's another tweet cropped, one above that one. So Uphold says XRP ETF approved, but then Eleanor Tourette says not spot. All right, so there's that. You have to look into these things for yourself, okay, to get to understand it with the specificity, all right, that some may require. All right, so now let's move on here. We have a little bit more news here. So Bitcoin, of course, we're learning more and more each day about the big dog, Bitcoin, which many are bullish on. I'm bullish on it myself. You should know that by now. Bitcoin, quote, power law, quote, model forecasts $200,000 Bitcoin price in 2025. It says Bitcoin surge to $95,000, aligns with the various models predicting $130,000 to $200,000 by Q4 2025. That would be beautiful, wouldn't it? Bitcoin's price has rallied 11% this week, its best weekly return in 2025, and its highest 7-day growth since early November 2024. That's a good sign. Bitcoin also reached $95,000 on April 25th for the first time since February 24th. All right, let's scroll down here if it'll allow me to. 21st Capital co-founder Sina mentioned that Bitcoin reclaimed the power law price. The power law's predictive accuracy stems from Bitcoin's network growth following Metcalfe's law, where value scales with the square of users. Based on Sina's Bitcoin quantile model, reclaiming the power law price keeps Bitcoin on track to hit a price target of $130,000 and $163,000 before the end of 2025. Any of those prices is nice to me. I like any of them. I'm not picky. Oh, man. Things been looking good, in my humble opinion. They've been looking good. The research has been going well, in my humble opinion. We've seen the resilience that we thought would be there, things bouncing back. We see it continues to be strong. The large businesses and the big money is taking over, which is going to prop the prices up at some point, even if you're not. I think you are seeing it now. I do. That's why that's what the resilience has been. So I like all of that. I think all of that is very good. And I think this is the time, once again, where a long-term perspective and a very wide, how can I put it? I think this is a time to approach everything with a certain higher level of perspicacity. It says here, as illustrated in the chart, Bitcoin is currently in the, quote, transition, unquote, range where BTC accumulation occurs. Once it breaks into the, quote, acceleration, unquote, zone, the crypto asset enters the rallies 33% to 66% range, progressively targeting $106,000, $130,000, and $163,000 over the next few months. However, anonymous Bitcoin analyst APSK32 predicted Bitcoin's price target could be as high as $200,000 in 2025. Yeah, will it happen? There's no guarantees in anything, right? But at the same time, I do believe it could happen. I believe it's possible, sure. But once again, those catalysts have to be actuated upon. And it looks like they may be actuated upon. A lot of these countries now, we've been learning a lot of information over the last 2 weeks. These countries are hurting just like we thought they were. Their economies have not been doing well. Even if you take away all of the different negative geopolitical things going on over the last 2 months, it doesn't make a difference. Their systems have been bleeding out for years. They've been propping. So you saw the cash infusion, the liquidity infusions. Let me say it that way. The liquidity infusions that some countries have been doing that have actually, I was shocked, made the news. That has been happening for quite some time. They've created these bubbles. They've created this superficiality within the financial systems globally, where it appears to be something that is not. They're not healthy. They appear to be healthy when they're not. And I think now two things are happening. People are beginning to see that on a larger scale. And number two, they can't sustain it any longer. So now, how does that affect Bitcoin and any altcoins that may go into digital asset baskets, because I do believe that along with Bitcoin, which these countries will gobble, they will gobble it up at some point. It's going to become rare. And I think that price is going to go much higher than people anticipate because of that. I think people are grossly underestimating how much these countries need real value. So put to the side all the times where some of these individuals will say, like these celebrity individuals will say things like Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. The value comes from the fact that the people who worked, it's the value comes from their energy that they put into their earnings by going to their business, going to work. That's real. And earning value, that's real. That energy is real. And because all of them have put in that energy, and it's agreed upon that we're going to work with this value as a medium, and then taking that energy that is represented by that value and putting it into Bitcoin, that's real. That's real. And countries know that. So so now, with this mind state of, how can I say, the people at the top once said they wanted to have a level playing field. Remember that? And then the people across the world have become more of a global society. Yes, because of social media. You have people, the people on the ground, the regular citizens, are talking to each other across the world. You have the people from China talking to the people in the West, people in the West talking to people in China. I'm just using it as an example. People from the UK communicating with people across the world. And they've all been coming together for a long time. I've seen it, right? And so they have no problem having a commonality when it comes to certain activities, like something superficial like dancing. There's something else that may be more important to their lives, like capital. And so what is that universal representation when it comes to capital? Bitcoin. Right now it's Bitcoin. And countries know that. Their people are going to gobble up Bitcoin, but more than that, the companies are going to gobble up Bitcoin. And it's going to send Bitcoin's price through the roof. Now, I don't know how eloquent I was in explaining that, but just watch, you'll see. Okay. Now, I did mention digital asset stockpiles. I said basket, but either way, it doesn't matter. That's really what it is. It's a basket of currencies, no different than what they have now. What we're about to see is sort of like an image in a mirror. It's not the same thing, but it's pretty close to what has been. And so you have a basket of currencies. Now, with the fiat currencies, you're going to have a basket of currencies when it comes to digital assets as well. So I'm not so certain that they'll all have a different digital asset stockpile. I just believe that we're seeing the beginnings of them figuring out what's going to be what. So I do believe in that digital asset stockpile that will be, I think most major countries may agree upon what they're going to be holding. It's always that way. Humanity has this way of coming into alignment with each other, whether they like it or not. I mean, we could go deeper with that, but not here on this channel. People don't want to hear about that on this channel, but that's humanity. There's a certain level of homeostasis. There's a balance that humanity tends to approach every once in a while. And I think that you're going to see that represented there. So I think XRP will be in there. I believe Solana may be in there. XRP, Solana, Ethereum will be there, I believe. And we have to watch Ethereum closely. I said this years ago. I believe Ethereum may have some problems. Is it still a moneymaker? Yes. I think they may have some problems in the future, but watch it. But if they do not, Ethereum will be in there as well. XRP, Solana, and I can't think of what else may be in there. We have to wait and see. Possibly Chainlink, because Chainlink is just so powerful. They're known they're known by a lot of companies, and they're very well respected. And I think also they still stand to have an explosion in price. So I think Chainlink could be included in that as well. But we'll see how that works out. But I think that's going to be a major part of the future financial system as well, right along with Bitcoin. And if that does occur, then those ones who are chosen, their prices will have a pop and a rise because of that very situation. So now let's go here. I have 3 more articles. Let's cover a little bit of Solana. Why not? We haven't covered Solana in a bit of time, and my bullishness on Solana has not waned at all whatsoever. It's just I only have but so much time to cover certain things. Just because I don't speak about something doesn't mean I'm not bullish on it any longer. No, my stance does not change unless there is a negative catalyst that forces me to change my stance. I have not seen such a thing. So now, this article is titled DeFi Development Plans to Raise $1 billion to Buy More Solana. So DeFi Development Corporation plans to use proceeds to bolster its Solana-focused treasury strategy and fund corporate initiatives. You see that? And fund corporate initiatives. So take that idea right there, this treasury strategy, etc., and then just expand that to countries. And I think you're going to see a lot of that happen in the future. I do. So now let's scroll down here. Should we do the bullet points? Let's do the bullet points. It makes it a little bit easier to do that than try to search through the article, right? It says here, DeFi Development Corporation has filed a registration statement with the SEC to offer up to $1 billion worth of securities. Second bullet point. The company plans to use the proceeds for general corporate purposes, including SOL purchases. And 3, the firm has adopted a treasury strategy centered around Solana, having already acquired $48.2 million worth of SOL. All right, so they're definitely bullish on SOL. Holy smokes. All right. DeFi, wait, hold on. Bear with me. Hold on. Wait. There's a video like auto played. Let me just stop that. It distracts me. That distracts me. So let me just stop that. How do I get that off of here? Wait. There we go. Yep, live on the spot. I had to figure that out. DeFi Development Corporation, formerly known as Janover. Yeah, I remember hearing that name. Is doubling down on its plan to buy more Solana. Okay. The firm, formerly a commercial real estate lending tech platform. Really? That's interesting. Okay. I'm going to keep my eye on you. Hopefully they'll continue to cover you in the news, and then it'll make it easier for us to get that news. There's going to be a lot happening with real estate. As a matter of fact, I missed an article. I don't have enough time to cover it. Ooh. Oh yeah, I don't have enough time. There's an article, folks. Just look into tokenization of real estate and you're going to see the article pop up. Do a little Google search, okay? But let me continue on with this. Since we began it, I must finish it now. Revealed in a U.S. SEC filing that it plans on using the funds for, quote, general corporate purposes. Okay. The offering will include common and preferred stock, debt instruments, warrants, and units. And units? Okay, interesting. DeFi Development has already acquired approximately 48.2 million. Okay, we read that at the top. They're just repeating that. Taking a playbook out of Michael Saylor's Bitcoin buying strategy, corporations have been increasingly buying SOL for their balance sheets to provide TradFi investors with exposure to the token. It says corporations have been increasingly buying SOL. All right, well, you talk about one here. Why leave that open-ended like that, and obtuse like that? Bear with me. I just want to see if they mention anybody else. SOL Strategies, the publicly traded company held by CEO Leah Wald, former co-founder of digital asset manager Valkyrie Investments, spearheaded the movement. Why not give a list of the companies that you claim? You said corporations multiple. Give a list of what corporations are buying SOL. That would be interesting and nice for everyone to have, right? I would think. But there you have it, folks. So multiples And I'm assuming more than 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? Because there's been so many big timers talking about Sol, but we never really hear how much they're buying. So that might be interesting. But there you go. Solana corporations are bullish on Solana, including this one they covered here. I expect Solana to have a very, very bright future. I don't see why not. I think it's going to shock a lot of people where it's going to go, but this is just my humble opinion. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.